Now let's party. Yeah, welcome to.
Are we online actually?
Yeah, I think there are some comments. Yeah. Can you see the comments as well, Benjamin?
Not yet, but I'm relying on you to just read them out. You know, it's your party, so you can read all the celebration comments.
Okay, great. Then let's check who's out there. Can you just post from where you're joining? Afternoon.
All around the world?
Okay.
I'm getting excited.
Yeah,
Mirko.
me too.
Huh?
But I'm not sure if there is a delay or.
I think there might be some delay.
Yeah. Okay. Hi from Offenbach. Yeah, great. Near Frankfurt. That's where I used to live, in the area of, in the beautiful town of Ditzebach for 3 years when I was working in Lufthansa Cargo in Frankfurt. Yeah. So,
nice. I used to do a consulting project for Lufthansa Systems in Kelsterbach for a couple of months. Even 1.5 years, I think. Amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Christopher from Vienna is there. Deepa from India. Hi. And Chris from Portsmouth. And who else? Oh, let's see how this will... Oh, yeah. Rolf from Itzehoe. Yeah, great. Moin Moin.
Nice, which is closer to us.
Yeah, exactly.
But so international.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Let's see. Okay, cool. Then let's get into it. So let's celebrate. Get your drinks ready. I already got my beer from the fridge. So yeah, perfect. I haven't opened mine yet, but I will definitely.
Not yet?
Not yet, no. First, we have to do the introduction. So, what is on your agenda for today? After a short introduction of Benjamin and myself, we'll have a closer look onto the purpose and the story of how this podcast developed. And there we can then celebrate and party a little bit more. Then we're going to deep dive into the interview we already did. So maybe you had the chance to listen to the 4th episode, which was published this morning, where I am interviewing Benjamin. Maybe you have questions, then we can add these here, or we just recap what we talked about there and go a little bit into the question of how to use new work ideas to rethink processes. So that's there are core of what is coming up today, and then for sure a lot of space for your questions and an outlook at the end. So what is coming up, so that you have an idea of what to expect in the next episodes there as well. So. Let's start with introducing our special guest here today, Benjamin Rolf. As I already said, I nearly know it by heart now. He's founder of the New Performance Academy, host of the New Performance podcast. He's partner of the New Work Hub. Before that, he worked as senior consultant, corporate strategy and development at the Otto Group. And before that, he was strategy consultant for transformation and change at IBM. He studied international business. He is a successful triathlete. And he's one of the most active new work experts on LinkedIn. And last but not least, he is the guy who gave the ultimate impulse for me to go all in with new process. So summer last year, walking through Hamburg Stadtpark, where he said, Mirko, are you stupid? Just go for it. And now I'm here. So this is Benjamin. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mirko Kloppenburg. I'm 41 years old. Living in Hamburg, married, father of 2 girls. Maybe they will crash the party a little bit later when they come home. I studied business information systems and business administration. While I was working for Lufthansa Cargo in Frankfurt, I studied in Mannheim. So that's the time when I was living in Ditzelbach. So I was working for the Lufthansa Group from 2001 until February of this year, and I started the newprocesslab.com as a platform to share experiences and ideas on how to rethink processes about 2 years ago, and now I'm 100% working on that topic, and this podcast is also one of the experiments I would like to try out with newprocesslab.com there. And maybe also interesting that I discovered about 2 years ago my own passion or my purpose of creating inspiring experiences. So thank you to Julia from Winterfeld. Maybe she's listening here as well. So that was a great experience with her to find out why I'm here. So this is just what I wanted to introduce about us. Benjamin, did I miss something about you? Is there something you would like to share with the listeners and viewers here about you?
Well, I think first of all, also this is kind of an experience here. So I think you're actually really working within your purpose. And secondly, probably my biggest success in this list you read out is probably the last point, getting you to go all in now and delivering a really nice podcast show. Really looking forward to also the next episode you're gonna share with us, but also all your other work that's going to follow around a new process. I think very exciting topic, and I'm also happy to talk with you a little more about how it all got started. What are your ideas? Also the ideas for the podcast. So let's get it started.
Yeah, cool. So before we go into the history of this podcast, just one more question. I learned in the interview with you that your purpose, because I just talked about my purpose, your purpose is to empowering people to create a work life that is fulfilling, impactful, and healthy. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that, what you are doing to fulfill this purpose?
Well, yeah, it's a big question to start off with. I think first of all, what's really fascinating for me is to see how this working world, so to say, is changing. I think most of us really noticed that, especially during the last 2 or 3 years. Also the pandemic was kind of maybe catalysator, how you would say, for this change. We see that we have more flexibilities in terms of how we work, how we maybe even organize our work, and also family life, and maybe a kind of social engagement or hobbies and interests around the work that we do. And I think those are so many opportunities that we can grasp, but what are we going to use them for? And I think we can use them for, on the one hand, to design work that's more in line with our needs, with our own health. I think that we see that many people are getting mentally ill due to the work, pressure is rising, so many changes going on. So I think we need to ask ourselves, how can we also design work so we are mentally, physically stronger, and adapt the working schedule around it a little bit. But also asking ourselves, what are we passionate about? What's the purpose? What do I want to create? What kind of difference do I want to make? And I think it's a big question, but we also have big challenges on this planet Earth. So I think if every one of us is able to have maybe a small contribution to a better planet, maybe even a better community, I think that would be already a success. And what am I doing? Well, trying to, first of all, get some inspiration out to people, to teams, to organizations, to really think about those topics, about purpose, about health at work, about new work, and what they can change. So really working with impulses, working with maybe little methods and approaches we can take also in daily life to already make and create our workspace and our work schedule a little better. But of course then also going deeper and working with leadership teams, with teams, maybe even individuals around how they can design their work life a little better, or maybe even do that for their teams or the entire culture. I think last but not least, it's all around the systems we work in and the cultures we work in. And so we also have to think about how can we change those organizations? How can we change the culture of collaboration. And this is some of the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, cool. That's perfect match when we think about rethinking processes. So applying all these ideas to the BPM approaches we know from the past to get to more human-centric mindset. So perfect. Good to have you here. So, then let's have a look back onto the history of how this podcast developed. And therefore, we have to go back more than 10 years. I think it was in 2010 when I personally first listened myself to a podcast, which was the Smart Passive Income podcast by Pat Flynn. Maybe some of you know him. He was one of the first podcasters at that time, and I was painting a room in our flat at that time, and I was listening to a number of his episodes, and they all started with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So really the first episodes he published at that time, and there I already thought, and I was already working on process management topics. Maybe one day I'm going to launch a BPM podcast. And the specific idea of launching the new process podcast was born at the end of 2020, I would say. So after exploring about half a year how to combine BPM and new work ideas, I thought, okay, one day it would be cool to have a tool like a podcast to share this journey and to use it as a platform to explore new ideas on how to rethink processes. And finally, when I started working full-time on new process, I also decided to take a structured approach to starting a podcast, and I booked a course offered by Pat Flynn. And that's actually a really cool process, going through all the different steps, setting up a concept, getting your artwork ready, getting the audio, the intro, the outro, and so on, and thinking about the structure of the episodes, and then record the episodes, record the interviews, and set up all the accounts and publish it, and finally go live like today. And I'm so super excited that it really worked out in the end. So thanks to Pat for this great plan that he laid out for producing podcasts. And I haven't finished the course, so there are some more chapters coming up, and I'm really excited what I learned there. So we'll see what I can make out of it afterwards. So this is how it all started, and now we are here. So since this morning, we are available on all the major platforms like Apple, Google, Spotify, Deezer, and so on. With not only the first 3 episodes from the early access, but also episode 4 with you, Benjamin. And that's cool. And I think now it's the time to get the drinks and officially
cheers to your podcast. Congratulations, Mirko. And I hope you get some cheers also from your community in the comments. Congratulations.
Prost.
And while you're drinking, I just thought about a question to you, because you were asking for my specific, or you were again repeating my specific purpose and how I bring that to life. And I was wondering, what's the purpose of the podcast? What do you want to do with the podcast? What would be your dream scenario? I mean, think about your community, think about the people listening to the podcast, spending minutes and hours listening to you and your guests. What should happen to them or with them? What do you want them to take away from the podcast?
Yeah, to put it in something like a purpose statement, I would say inspire people to rethink processes. So that's really the core idea, to perform interviews, summarize all the ideas which are out there, and inspire the listeners to rethink their own processes. So that's what I would say the purpose. And in addition, for me, for sure, it's some kind of vehicle to get to know interesting people, explore new ideas, and then put all these ideas into the toolbox, which you can find on newprocesslab.com. Right now, there is only the first process with all the details, like define process purpose. That's what we already have there. But my idea is to also go through the other phases and add more and more tools, methods, and best practices there to inspire people to rethink processes.
Nice. So more inspiration, more tools, more practical insights also in the whole business process management world. Perfect. And I really like the idea of getting this inspiration, information out from the podcast, maybe also once in a while, and seeing what can be all those learnings all about, and how can we put that into practice, and maybe also thinking about some big podcasters, out there, I pretty much also like the idea of maybe one time in the future, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, just write a book about it. Write a book about all those, maybe tools or interesting stories you could hear about, and what other people also recommend to do. I think very, very interesting.
Yeah. I'm personally not the bookworm, or how do you say that in English? I'm not the frequent reader. But maybe my book will be the New Process Lifecycle Toolbox on newprocesslab.com, where I put all the information into. And maybe one time there will be a video about that. So this is what I can imagine, to have something inspiring there, to really watch and to enjoy.
Good idea.
Yeah. Exactly. But first, there will be a lot of interviews coming up, and I already performed a second interview with Michael Bögle from Lufthansa, which was really interesting. It's about how to lead more than 20,000 employees by processes. And I sat down this morning, and I have to reach over here to get my notes. It was a really comprehensive list of ideas which I captured there, just to summarize what he said there. For me, it was, even if I know him since 2002 or 3, I think. To be honest, 2004 must have been the year when we met. There were so many good ideas, and this is what I'm looking for. So perform interviews with interesting people out there, working in different industries as CPOs or process owners, process architects. It would be also very interesting to talk to the people that really work on processes. I'd also like to interview consultants or tool vendors. This is also another topic coming up, and I already started a discussion with regards to a human-centric BPM tool on LinkedIn. So this is something I would like to have a closer look onto. Also like to talk to researchers, so from an academic perspective as well. And what I'm also really interested in is interviewing, I would call it cross-method experts, so experts from completely different areas, which then can be somehow mixed with BPM to rethink processes. Yeah. So this is what you can expect there.
Yeah, nice. And I mean, also, just thinking of myself, well, just from my business background or career background, I do not have that many just straight contact points to this process world, but bringing it together with you, in a conversation and thinking about what can new work do for process management. I think that's really fascinating, and this is probably what you just meant by bringing experts together and seeing how can we learn from each other and put those perspectives together. And I think it can just make the work that you do a lot more rich and diverse. And I like it.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Okay. Cool. So I just received a message that the sound is really bad. I'm not sure if that's the case at all locations. We already had some struggles with Riverside, the tool we are using beforehand. So maybe this is also one experience, one learning for us to take another tool in the future. But hopefully you can somehow listen and follow and still enjoy what we are talking about. And before we go into the recap of the interview, are there already any questions out there you would like to ask Benjamin or me, which we could pick up? So if you have questions, just type them into the comments. Meanwhile, we can take a...
Yeah. Go for it.
And
where are the comments on LinkedIn? Is it pointing in which direction?
I think it depends if you are using smartphone or the web browser.
True.
I think on the web browser it's on the right hand side. Funnily, on my streaming computer here it's on the left hand side now. Yeah, but we can just make use of the time and take a picture. Yeah, I would say let's see if we can do it like this one here. So just yeah, very good. I should have made your picture a little bit bigger, but okay. Anyways, so great. So at the moment there are no questions, even if there are still some people listening. So then let's dive into the recap of the interview. So there we started with your definition of new work. And I think it could be good to recap that here as well, because as you told, new work may be something which is more frequently used in Germany. So Benjamin, how would you define new work?
Yeah, correct. I think when we think or write or speak about new work, probably in a German-speaking context, what we mean is probably the future of work. So it's about looking into the future and kind of maybe anticipate where is the whole working world going. What are the changes that we see? What are the big trends that we see around working culture, around workplace, around collaboration, around how we work together and how we can also basically, maybe make work life a little better for every one of us. And I think one of the major probably points in this whole future of work discussion from my perspective is not about home office. It's not about working from the beach, working from anywhere, or being a digital nomad. It's more about humanizing work. So making also work itself more human-centric. And what does that mean? I mean, it's also a little bit cryptic, but from my perspective, it's putting this question first of what do we need as human beings to do good work? What are our needs that we have in our daily working life, so to say? And of course, we want to have a good time. We want to have good relationships with people. We want to be healthy. We want to be happy. We want to feel some kind of purpose in what we do. We want to use our strength and put that into practice. We want to have an impact with what we do and do that together with other people. And those are a few needs, core needs that every one of us probably has in the work that we do. And now we can think about, is the work life that we are currently having, is that really helping us to fulfill those needs? And I think there are some trends that are not going into that direction. We have many bullshit jobs. We have work that's putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, with all the KPIs and deadlines, and maybe also toxic working cultures where people get mentally sick. And I could go on like that. So we are not really focusing on our needs, also on the needs of the people around us that much. So this is really the question to start off with. And then, of course, we can think about possible solutions like, hey, let's make work a little more flexible. Let's work a little bit more on our relationships or the work culture, or let's think about what is the purpose that we want to have and fulfill with the work that we do. And basically all those topics grouped together is what I would call the future of work or this whole new work movement.
Okay. Thank you for this explanation. And now in the introduction, I said that you are the founder of the New Performance Academy. How would you place new performance in the context of new work?
Yeah, very interesting question. I think it's very much connected to the purpose I was talking about a little earlier. So new performance is maybe some kind of subcategory of this future of work, and it's more about rethinking performance, but not in terms of we want to perform more and get a lot better and deliver more results quicker. It's more about really, again, focusing on what is the core of good performance very generally. And I think here again, it's about having a focus on what is it that we want to do or achieve. Does it have a purpose? What is the impact we want to deliver? But also what kind of resources do we need also in a sustainable manner to have good performance. And again, it's about our health, it's about our well-being, it's about good relationships, and very much about us and how we bring that together with other people in the work life. So new performance is pretty much a new, I would say, almost approach, but also philosophy and mindset around how we can define a good, sustainable, healthy performance in the workplace.
Okay. That's interesting. What are you offering as kind of services there? Consulting, coaching?
Yeah, so part of it is really around helping teams and organizations to get this, so to say, mindset and approach also in their culture. So I think also talking about some kind of sustainable performance culture. So I still meet many and work with many companies that say the core of what we do and our core values is around performance. And I think that's good. You know, why shouldn't we have performance as one of our core cultures, but values? But at the same time, they say, how can we do this kind or deliver this kind of performance in a sustainable and a good way? And so we work on practices, on approaches, also on ways to collaborate within the teams and the company to create more like a sustainable performance culture. So this is one key, but also leadership has a lot to do with that. So doing leadership workshops and coachings basically around also this topic of new performance, healthy, sustainable performance, but also coaching, very generally coaching people who are like, hey, I want to do something different with my work life, you know, and I want to have a healthier, more fulfilling, more purposeful work life. So this could be also another way of work that we do with the New Performance Academy.
Okay, like walking with Mirko through Hamburg Stadtpark.
Yeah, totally. And getting Mirko to finally start his work around new process and this podcast that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, thanks. In the end, it's true. Yeah, it was that moment.
Worked out.
Yeah, definitely.
Check.
Cool. Okay, you already touched purpose in your explanation what new performance is, and that was also a major part of the interview. Can you just give a little definition of what this purpose everybody is talking about really is?
Yeah, well, it's so much and so little at the same time, and I think everyone has maybe a little different understanding and also comprehension of purpose. But to me, well, I think there are different layers also to purpose. On the one hand, it can also again be about me as an individual with my individual purpose. It can be about a team purpose or organizational purpose. And if we think about an organization, of course, it's more about the direction where we are going. So what is it that we want to do or achieve? What is the difference that we want to do as a company? So it really gives a direction, orientation, and it's very much about the impact that we want to have and create. And of course, this can be really motivating because we maybe as a team or as employees in an organization, we feel like, wow, it has a purpose, we have an impact. So this work is kind of fulfilling and motivating because it has a positive effect on maybe the society or the world as a whole. And I think we can use the same concept and analogy very much on teams, but also on the individual. Me as Benjamin, I could also be like, my purpose is X, Y, Z, as I was saying, and that's very much centered around the question of what do I want to create or do? What's the impact I want to have? What is the difference I want to make? And this gives me a direction, of course, a direction maybe for my life, for the business that I'm doing. And I think, especially in the current times where the world, the society, everything around us is so dynamic, and we do not really have this clarity and security anymore. We need to find this stability on another level. And I think this question around purpose, but also values, very much helps us again to find this stability, but more like an inner stability. When everything around us is going crazy, creating this inner stability for yourself, but also within teams and organizations. And that's why I'm such a big fan of this concept.
Okay, cool. I personally can already imagine how this would look like if you transfer that or apply it to processes. For all the things that you already said, immediately had an idea how this could look like to rethink processes. And that was one of your recommendations. Before we go into that, so if you have questions out there, feel free to put them into the comments. I try to pick them up as soon as I realize that there is a comment coming up. So with regards to purpose, you talked about individual purpose, team purpose, or organizational purpose. It could also be possible, and this was one of your recommendations or your idea on how to rethink processes, to apply purpose to processes, to talk about process purpose. What would you expect how this process purpose would help?
Well, I think it has some parallels and similarities to what I was just saying before. I think when you start off a specific topic or project that's maybe work related, and I think maybe designing, changing, optimizing, building processes can be such an initiative or project. Can also be something else, of course. It's always good to have some kind of clarity where you're actually going and what it is you want to do at the end. So it's more like let's say an end goal, that you have and a picture you have in mind. So is it around making life easier for a specific target group or stakeholders? Is it around making something a lot more efficient, making an experience more pleasant, or maybe even, if you're like in the airline industry, making it more secure, optimizing safety. So what is the final higher purpose of why you're actually starting with this work of maybe building, designing, optimizing a process? Because if this is clear, and if this is clear to everyone, I think this gives us a direction. It makes clear where we are heading, and I think it makes everyone involved. So people involved in this project, different stakeholders, clear where you're going, and it also makes it a lot easier to then organize the work around it. So you do not have to always explain what everyone needs to do and where you're actually heading, because everyone can maybe at least a little more anticipate how is my role contributing to this purpose? How is the work that I'm doing right now, today, this afternoon, contributing to this higher purpose? And if I feel like it's not contributing that much, then maybe I should think about if the work that I'm actually doing has a lot of sense. And so I think this, especially in current times, very, very important.
Yeah, okay. There will be a deep dive episode coming up in 2 weeks where I go into all the details of how to develop process purpose, because we together already in the past developed this process purpose canvas, which picks up all the ideas which you just explained and applies these ideas to processes. And the idea there is that process purpose can be used as guidance for the whole process lifecycle. So as soon as you know the purpose of the process, why do we have this process? This can be used within the strategy phase, within the design. You can always refer to the purpose there, and think about ways how the process can be used to contribute to the purpose itself. And this also is applicable for the implementation phase. So when you use the purpose statement as well for the training of the people, it can be inspiring for them so that they know why the process looks like it looks like right now. And then within process execution, you can always refer to the process purpose to make decisions there. Are they in line with the process purpose, and does it really fit to what we would like to achieve and why the process is here? So that's the idea there. And there's a lot of methodology behind to develop this purpose, which would definitely not fit into today's session here. So there will be a deep dive session coming up in 2 weeks, 29th of June. I'm already excited for that coming out. So that's all about purpose. And let me look to the comments here. There are no additional questions. Then I think we can provide an outlook. As I already said, on 29th of June, the next episode will come out with a deep dive on how the process purpose can push your process to the next level. So that's the idea there, to talk about the methodology, explain how process purpose can be developed and how it can be applied then in reality to inspire people for processes. So that's the next episode. And then afterwards, there will be the interview, which I already mentioned, with Michael Böckler from Lufthansa Technik, how to lead 20,000 employees by processes. And that's coming out on July 13th. And then 2 weeks later, there will be an episode on finding a human-centric BPM tool. So based on the discussion we kicked off on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, I'll pick that up and try to create a request for whatever information, proposal, demonstration, or a request for interview. That's maybe the best way to say it, to tool vendors. And definitely in the future there will be some more interview sessions with BPM tool vendors. And I'm really curious how this will work out, to talk about a tool just by voice and without seeing it, because basically in a podcast you don't have a picture, even if you put it online on YouTube, but primarily I try to have it as a voice-only session then. So this is one of the sessions. And then finally we will also have what is already planned, a look onto how to get to the cutting edge of BPM. There I'm going to talk to Professor Dr. Daniel Beimborn from University of Bamberg, and he will give us some inspirations on how to cooperate with academia to stay at the cutting edge of BPM. So that's the plan for the upcoming weeks, and we'll see what else we can add there. So whenever you have ideas, then feel free to send me an email to mirko@newprocesslab.com, or just send me a message on LinkedIn, and I can see what I can make out of it. Or if you have questions, this is also my plan, to pick up your questions and try to find answers on how to rethink processes. It does not necessarily have to be so much future related. Could also be related to the basics of BPM, so setting up a system, documenting processes, managing these processes, or regarding role concepts. So whatever you have in mind related to business process management, because there's always a chance to have a look onto that with a human-centric mindset. So, let's see.
And I think, as you said, I think it's a great topic to also just get some input from the community. What are the questions that they have around BPM? What kind of challenges maybe do they also have in their daily life around their work with BPM? And then just maybe seeing what answers can you find with speaking to experts, speaking to other people, providing some guidance. I think that would be fantastic, to receive some questions and then just keep on working around that a little bit.
Yeah, Exactly. So, yeah, Chris, thanks. Sounds like some great sessions coming up. I hope so. I recorded already some of them, and I'm quite happy with the result. Hopefully you will be as well. If not, please send me feedback. If there is something you would like to change, or you wish I do it differently, or I go deeper into a specific direction, please feel free to reach out to me. Or if you have ideas of on whom to interview, put it into the comments, or just send me a message. That would be great, because I would like to take you with me on this journey. Or even if it's you who think might be a good idea to talk to you, to interview you, and get new ideas on how you are rethinking processes, or are you performing process management, might be interesting as well. So everything is possible there, I would say.
And as always, leave your 5-star evaluation on your preferred podcast platform. I think, well, I mean, as you said, I'm having a podcast myself, and I think it's the best way to have such an easy support for the podcast that you like, and it doesn't need to be your podcast. Of course, it's yours, but also other podcasts you like, because it just makes them a lot more visible also to other people, so it's an easy support also to just leave a 5-star evaluation, make it a little more visible on the platforms.
Yeah, that's a great call for action at the end of the launch party here, I would say. Very good. So let's see if there are more questions. Otherwise, I think we can come to the end of the party. Just have another sip of beer here.
Cheers. Well, everything is getting more short and crisp in life. So parties as well, I think.
Yeah.
We do not take that much time for a party anymore.
Maybe there's an after-show party here at home.
Back to work.
I'm not sure for today. I think I'm done. But that's true. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, then I would say thank you very much for joining me here as special guest, Benjamin, and for all the insights into new performance, and for handing over all the good ideas, which I will definitely pick up. And maybe we'll see each other again in another podcast episode to review what has happened in between. You never know.
Yeah, but once a year maybe, just a little ritual, once a year update.
Exactly, just like the plan to meet again in Hamburg Stadtpark in end of August this year.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, thank you, Benjamin, and thank you out there for watching, for commenting here, and also for sharing the podcast, what you already did, and hopefully will do in the future as well. Leave your review. Would be great. And don't forget to subscribe to the New Process podcast on your favorite platform. So it's online there. Now you can find it. And then the system will remind you automatically when a new episode comes out. So that's great. So thank you very much. Have a great day. And see you or hear you.
Mirko, and all the best to you and to the podcast, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think a big milestone ahead, and very much looking forward to each episode coming out from now on. So congratulations, big step, and exciting times, and thanks for inviting me to your party.
Yeah, sure.
It was a pleasure. Lots of fun.
Yeah, great. I just saw that Rolf will join us in Stadtpark. And
nice.
Yeah. Very good.
Good one.
Okay. Cool then. Have a great day. And see you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye-bye.